Brian Case, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure. And what I always like to do is allow you to tell kind of your personal version of the intro. The listeners already heard the formal intro, but give us the, kind of a minute, 2-minute version of how long you've been in the biz. What do you enjoy about this business after how many years have you been in? You're up.
I've been in the business going on 22 years. Can't believe it's been that long. But this business gets in your blood and it doesn't get out. It's hard to leave this industry. Yep. The reason I do it mostly, and it might sound cliche, but I love helping people. I get to travel a lot internationally, and I've seen what true poverty is and how people without a lot of opportunity live. And I just think in the States, we have so much opportunity and the average person has a negative net worth. And I try to take the approach to help my clients understand finances better and use real estate as a tool to create future wealth and prosperity.
When you say you travel internationally, I'm immediately curious about that. Are you involved in some philanthropic like mission opportunities, or what is that really?
Yeah, I'm on the board for Helping Hands International, and so I lead teams to Africa and places to do well projects and basically house building in Mexico, all kinds of projects that we do around the globe, and we do disaster relief locally as well. But so again, it's just about trying to help give people a hand up, right?
Yeah, but I think that's actually an interesting and a relevant point for listeners because so often we're caught up in our own bubble. And to your point, right, we don't realize how good we have it here in the States.
Absolutely. Yeah, we just did last week. We did a campaign for the Oregon region for our company to raise $20,000 to put a new well in at an orphanage or a school in one of the biggest slums in Nairobi, the Mathare slums, and so we were able to do that. So, like I said, we are so blessed to do what we do and earn the kind of money we can and live the life that we can. You got to give some back.
Yeah. And do you incorporate any of that? I mean, I've interviewed other people who are active in various organizations like Give Back Homes, for example, or others. Do you incorporate that into any of your kind of just overall branding?
No, I mean, I try to do it from the heart, not for the business aspect of it. Obviously, some of that spills over from your social media and stuff when you post stuff that does go out. But again, that's not the reason I do it. I do it purely from a heart perspective.
And perhaps I should have asked that a different way. I know that's not why you do it, but oftentimes when I do talk to people that are involved in those types of activities and they're coming from the right place, to your point, that spills over. But that gets into the topic of cause marketing, right? And that people like to associate with people that are doing it. So have you seen that come up at all in conversations with clients over the years?
Yeah, and we've done group builds with like Habitat for Humanity. We've been involved in here as a group, and we've had partnered with some real estate agents and gone out and done a Habitat house build or a day build and raised funds for that as well.
You know what's interesting about that? I've done that too back in the day. Habitat for Humanity, back when I was with Countrywide, too many years ago to remember. But the bonds that come out of that, like if you can do that with real estate agents, I mean, the bonds, the relationships that are forged there usually are solid and last a long time.
Well, it's this is a far stretch of an analogy, but it's kind of like being in a foxhole with somebody, right? You make lifelong friends. Well, if you're kind of in that realm with them, serving side by side for a common cause that's not about you, right. that does seem to create some good bonds and it just goes deeper. And isn't that what we really want to do with our realtor partners and the folks that we're doing business with? The deeper that relationship is, the more business you're going to be able to sustain over that lifetime relationship.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Good stuff. Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I love that you're doing that. And of course, that kind of enriches your life in many, many different ways. Let's pivot then and get into our previous conversation. You kind of unloaded on me all these tactical things that you're doing that help you become, if I'm correct, looking at my notes, 2018 number one unit lender in Oregon?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was for 252 units. Is that correct?
I believe it was 271. I'd have to double check, but.
All right. Well, I mean, we don't have to be exact. That's a heck of a lot of units. And the volume on that though was what, 64 million-ish?
No, it was about 76 million.
Where am I getting my numbers from? I am completely off. What's good is the numbers are even higher than what I'm saying. All right, man. How do you become How do you become the number one unit lender? By the way, that's a heck of a line of units. So congratulations. How do you become the number one unit lender in Oregon, the entire state?
Well, I got to give a lot of it to my team. I've been able to attract some great team members and build my team over 22 years. I did it wrong for so many years, and finally I started hiring better. And again, I've got one assistant that's been with me for 20 years, so she's been phenomenal.
Wow.
But we were able to finally hire the right and attract the right talent and just kind of leverage what we were doing. So the team is just extremely strong.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's about building your brand, doing a good job, and then leveraging off of that, right?
You mentioned you have an assistant that's been with you 20 years?
That's correct. Yeah.
What's his or her role?
She is now she's my production manager, so she handles contract to close. So I have my team broken up into two sections. I have the front end is what we call lead to contract, back end is contract to close, and she's basically my production manager and runs the whole contract close.
All right, so that's like a really incredible statistic, as I'm sure you well know in this industry, to keep somebody that long.
Yep.
Secrets?
Well, here's the deal. Most of my team members have been here long term. It's about building a good culture. A lot of the coaching programs you listen to, they try to have you extract as much out of people and pay them as little as possible. And I've taken a different approach to that. My motto is a rising tide floats all boats. So if I'm making good money, if I take care of people, the cost of replacing an employer, they say, is 5 times their annual salary. So why are we going cheap with some of these folks that are an integral part of our production process?
Right.
I believe in paying people above what the industry is, because again, if the old Zig Ziglar thing, right? Help people get what they want, you'll get what you want. You treat them nice, you pay them above average, they're going to give you above average results, and they're going to stick with you a long time. That pays dividends over the years, because your realtors get to be dealing with the same people as well. They're not seeing a new person in your office every 6 months because you've blown them out.
Let me ask you this question. I don't know if you remember in this case or other people you've hired. I'm actually dealing with a couple of originators right now who are looking for assistance. Where did you find her, or any recommendations on finding good people?
She actually started out as our receptionist
Wow.
20 years ago. And then as we grew, she kind of then moved into kind of a processing assistant role, and then processing. And then I finally hired her on she was my processor, but then I hired her on as my first loan officer assistant.
So you just saw something in her, how she behaved or how she carried herself and things like that?
Yeah. I think giving people opportunities when they're younger like that, and you kind of grow them the way that you want. I think there's a lot of validity to that. Another gal that works for another team that I manage here in Medford, she started out as working for Jimmy John's Sandwiches, and we hired her out of that environment as our receptionist. And then we see how they do in that role. They're multitasking. We start giving them more responsibility, which gives them more pressure. So you can see how they react and how they operate under, we have a lot of stress in our jobs, right? One of my assistants announced on her job description was the ability to multitask in a high pressure environment, right? So you can test them out in that reception role to see, do they have what it takes to make it? And you kind of expose them more and more to the industry, and folks that are at that entry level position, to give them the opportunity to make the kind of income that you can make in this industry over the long term. I just think they're much more appreciative of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Congratulations. It's all, like you said, it's all about the good people and the quality of your team for you to be able to grow. They allow you to do what you do so well, which we're going to get back into now, which is, obviously not just tacticals. You're a very strategic person, I know also, but for those listening, let's unpack kind of like the key activities, if you will, that drive your business. Back to my notes here, if I'm reading this correctly, bulk of your business is real estate agents?
Yes, and real estate agents are probably our top, and then we'll pass clients as well. But real estate agents are our main focus.
Yeah, let's take past clients for a second, because I know you are a user of homebot, right?
Absolutely.
How long have you been using it? Yeah.
We've been using it now, I think, about 7 months. The open rate on that is phenomenal. I mean, the normal open rate on an email is about 5%.
Yeah.
The open rate on these is about 85%, and the click-through rate is about 80%. It's pretty amazing.
How do you primarily use it?
So after we send it out on every loan that we fund, they end up getting homebot. Again, it's kind of self-serving in a way as well, because what we're trying to do is keep them off the internet, right? Because unfortunately, the Zillows of the world, the Redfins of the world, they're all coming after our jobs. And no one's going to serve them better than we are, right? Because we have a local vested interest. We sit face to face with them. And so if we can give them the information they're looking for without them having to go elsewhere, and it drives them back to us, I think that protects them as well as protects our business.
Yeah,
because the homebot gives them a valuation tool every month that says, hey, here's your digest. Here's what your home is worth this month. And then it takes them down a whole bunch of different rabbit trails based on whether they will, is there an opportunity to refinance, opportunity to use some of that equity to buy an investment property or to consolidate or do some other functions.
Are you utilizing any of the, kind of co-marketing, teaming up with agents features within HomeBot?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had some agents that we've partnered with on that, and they can actually upload their whole database, and it's relatively inexpensive for them. I think it's like a $50 setup fee and $20 a month or something like that. Don't quote me on those rates, but then they can send that out to all their current database, right? Which helps you partner with them. And there's some statistics. I think like 85% of the people said they would use their realtor again, but only about 5% do. It's because they've forgotten who they are.
Right, exactly.
Right? So if you're staying in front of them every month, and that HomeBot to me is a great a tool that's about the client, not about you, but then still reminds them that you're there.
Yeah, it's funny. HomeBots come up on my radar a lot over the past just couple of weeks, and so I'm due to have Ernie. I briefly met Ernie at a conference this past weekend. Ernie, the CEO, on because I've talked about HomeBot on a previous episode as well. Interviewed a Todd Bookspan, Win by Noon. I don't know if you do, but Yep. He had a loan officer on who's been using HomeBot since the beginning. Like, I don't know, what's that, 2-3 years, something like that.
Right.
And just, crushing it with.
Well, the other thing I love about it too is it's automated, right? I'm big into automation and systems. I mean, we've got a huge database, and there's no way that I can, be reaching out to these people as much as I want to on a regular basis. That's why I also use some of the tools with video email and stuff that we use that are automated, because it really, anything that we can do to set it, forget it, but still make it personal to me is the way to stay in touch with people.
Yeah, so let's go down the list here, because that's what we did in our original conversation. So HomeBot, you're using that. People, I'm going to put links in the show notes to all this kind of stuff. But BonBon is what you're referring to with the video email, right?
Absolutely.
So a couple of ways that you really integrate that into your process that you think differentiates you.
Well, like I said, I used to try to call all of my past clients on their birthdays and their loan anniversaries, and you'd have great intentions, but then how our day can blow up on us, and next thing you know, you're 2 or 3 days behind. You're like, well, now I would just look silly calling them, so I'm just going to scratch that. I'll get them on the next one, right?
Right.
Well, BonBon has something that you can upgrade to called BonBon Prompt, and you can actually record a video and use a script that it's personal, but it doesn't use their personal name. But you basically make it looks like it's made specifically for that individual. Mm-hmm. It might be something like, hey, Henry, here, it's your special day today. Hope you get a chance to spend it with family and friends that you love. Hey, just want to tell you that we appreciate you. We're thinking about you. Have a great day, right? And the email comes from you to them. And the cool thing is you can record those about every 3 to 6 months. And then on their birthday and their home loan anniversary, it automatically goes out to them without you having to do it. You just upload your database in there, so you never miss one.
And you mentioned open rates earlier with HomeBot. Have you looked at kind of the open or engagement rates with BonBon?
Yeah, I mean, it's not near what HomeBot is, but again, because it's about, I think it's about 23%. I'd have to double check those numbers again, but it's again, because it's about them, it's their birthday, and you get some nice feedback from them. And, hey, thanks for thinking of me. And I'm not trying to be disingenuous in that, because I do really want to wish them a happy birthday. Sure. But if you got a 4,000 person database, it's impossible to make that many calls in a day. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And to some degree, I think your intent with the video element of it is a certain degree of personalization or personal connection back to you, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you said, so
we want to be high tech, but high touch. I stole that slogan from my company, because that's their goal right now. But there's a lot of high tech, low touch. We want to be high tech, high touch.
Yeah. So did you say you had a 4,000 person database?
There's about 4,000 in there, yes.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, that's tough to. And what is your CRM of choice?
So we use Salesforce. It's phenomenal.
Salesforce. Do you use the Django version?
Our company actually instituted Salesforce into that is their company's CRM,
Uh-huh.
and it's instituted into our workflow and everything. It's been phenomenal.
Okay, awesome. Good to know. Okay, so we talked about some technology you're using to kind of automate to create, high tech plus high touch, BonBon, homebot as well. But then you're also doing some of the more traditional, if you will, boots on the ground, face to face stuff with lunch and learns. Is that correct?
Yes, yep. We do a
Yes.
lunch and learn here at our office the first Wednesday of every month, and we invite realtors in. We cover a specific topic. It's kind of cool. One of the reasons is obviously to get them in there and give them some information of value. But one of the things that comes out of those events, a lot of realtors are stuck in their silos, right? Like John L. Scott agents only hang out with John L. Scott agents, and
Right.
Keller Williams only hang out with Keller Williams agents. And when you get them into a room and they might have heard their name, but they've never actually met them.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me like when you're in a deal, if there's a relationship involved, details don't really get in the way. If there's not a relationship involved, details seem to always get in the way. So if you can get them in there, they create relationships. I've had people become great friends that they've met at one of our events.
Mm-hmm.
And then when next time they're in a deal together, like, oh, I'll just give them a call. We know each other. It just makes it much easier.
Yep. On average, and I know that it varies greatly based on a variety of factors, but on average, how many agents are you getting to show up for your classes?
It's they're agents, right? So again, they have a lot on their plate. So we might have 12 register and have 2 show up. We might have 3 register and we'll have 10 show up. You just never know.
Right.
So the key is just keep doing it.
and are you the one typically presenting content? Do you mix it up? What's that look like?
I was for a while. My daughter's been on my team now for about 5 years now, and she's kind of heading that up now. Again, I'm trying to get better at the delegation and
Yes.
things of that nature. But normally what we would do is we don't necessarily, we have lunch and learns that we can do and present ourselves.
Right.
A lot of times we'll just pull up some content from another coaching service that we're involved in, which also coaches real estate agents, and tap into some of those resources because we want it to be relevant to them. We don't want them to be a lender, right? So it allows them to.
What are, like, when you do pull that, by the way, that's you mentioned that before from the core, they provide some of that stuff.
Yep.
What are some of the topics that are, quote, relevant to them, or that you find that they are more interested in?
Typically, again, if it's anything to do about helping them succeed better at their job, like listing presentations, how to attack your database, time management is always a good one, right? Because I think they need that more than I do, and I need it a lot.
Sales and marketing stuff, right? Digital marketing.
Yeah, just the good thing about it, a lot of the stuff isn't new. It's just we need to be reminded of these things, so we know what to do half the time. But it's just getting those refreshers that, oh yeah, I gotta stop doing that. Oh yeah, I need to start doing that. It just to keep fine tuning stuff.
And and by the way, I'm just kind of drilling down on this a little bit because this is, for those listening, they're like, here goes Jeff talking about agent classes again, but it is a sweet spot of mine. but and again, you may not know because you turned it over to your daughter, but I'm just curious, like, what percentage of those attending are like existing, you're investing in those existing relationships versus new, getting in your funnel, et cetera?
I would say probably 80% of the ones that come are already people that we're doing business with, but we try to put some new ones in there as well. Because what happens if you can invite a new one in, they're going to talk with the people that already know and love you there, and they're going to be like, yeah, these guys are great. That's who we use, and it kind of helps cross-sell.
All right, so then last question on this is, do you then find it a good feeder, if you will, right, to maintain the stickiness and loyalty, but then also to add new agents to your, database and partners?
Yeah, and it's always giving you a reason to reach out to them, right? Because if you're calling them, you want to be inviting them to something or thanking them for attending something, or not just calling up, hey, it's not raining today, what's going on? So again, it gives you a reason to reach out and add something of value.
Okay, awesome, good, thank you. Okay, so back into some more tactics and how your business is set up. You are taking, I wrote down a figure from our last conversation. You might want to correct me a little bit on this, but 90% of your apps are online. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and by the way, is that like to your website? Is that a mobile app or is it both?
It's to our website. So within our system, we can send them an invitation to apply online.
Mm-hmm.
It allows them to give us information, the convenience of their own home, when they have access to some of the data that they normally don't end up bringing to the appointment. And our goal is still to get them face to face. But what we want them to do is give us the information up front. That way, we have a chance to work on the file before they actually get there. And then when we're meeting with them for our face to face, we can have an actual tangible conversation, and they can walk out of there knowing exactly where they stand. So we get their permission to pull credit. We have them upload documentation or give us the authority to pull that documentation for them.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get in, we're not, I'm not sitting there spending an hour taking a 1003. That's already done. We can leverage our time by getting right to what their goals are, walk through some different options for them, and just have a much deeper conversation about what they're afraid of, what their goals are, and how we can help them get there.
Is your online process, the online app you referred to there, is that also asking them, to connect their various financial institutions, assets, things like that?
Correct. Account checks, day one certainty stuff. Yes.
Okay. And I'm curious, like, what percentage of the people actually follow through on that? And the reason why I ask is because I've gone through the process myself on a few different lenders. Some are better than others. I haven't done your app, so so I can't really judge it. But I'm curious if that's a breakdown point, or you find most people are actually going through all that.
We're not getting a high percentage right now, being honest, probably 3 to 5%. And then what we're doing is we're changing our scripting these days to try to encourage that more.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't do it in the original app, when we're talking with them on the phone, setting the appointment, we're trying to ask again. Because again, there's so many reasons why I'm pushing my team to do more of that day one certainty stuff.
Yeah.
It makes clients' experience better. It makes our jobs easier, makes underwriting easier, removes reps and warrants on some of the deals. So
okay, cool. Then tell me about your process for getting people to come in person at some point, because you use scripting. I love that. So what that tells me is you have a structured process to move them from online to online to offline. So just articulate kind of what that process is, because this goes back to your team that you have. Your lead to contract would probably be the people who handle that.
Exactly. So when a new application comes in, they reach out immediately, welcome them, thank them for applying online, check to see if they've uploaded any documentation yet. If not, they follow up and explain how to get that documentation uploaded, or to just fax it in if they're not comfortable scanning and uploading on their own into our secured portal. Get the documentation and then set the appointment to meet with either myself or one of them.
Okay. And what is, and I sound like I'm asking all these numbers and percentages, but this is kind of my style. Do you have a sense of how many people you're able to bring in person versus who just want to do everything kind of virtually?
Yeah, I'd say we're probably getting about, I would say 70 to 80% would be coming in person. That's our goal. We do a lot of stuff for people moving up from different states, so obviously they can't come in, but we try to get them to come in if they're up shopping for homes and stuff, because again, we want to create that bond. We want to create a relationship. Because if you're just quoting them numbers and they've just given you a little information over the phone, what stops them from picking up the phone and calling that online lender that just sent them a quote that they're never going to get?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And maybe that's worthy to just unpack a little bit, in that, like, if you, let's just say you get a referral, because a lot of your business is referrals from real estate agents. What's that process? Do they go to somebody on your front end team, or do they go directly to you? What's that look like?
If a realtor refers a lead in, typically it's going to go to my front end team, and they're going to contact the person. Again, encourage them, find out a little bit of information about them. We have a sheet that they fill out, a purchase sheet, kind of gives us some preliminary information, kind of what their 10,000 foot goals are.
Right.
And then we encourage them to do the online application, get them in, cross-sell the real estate agent, obviously. And then as soon as that's done, then come in to meet with us one-on-one.
Yeah, good point, by the way. Don't overlook that. Cross-sell the real estate agent. That's a huge opportunity. What I'm curious about real quickly, because I've heard LOs in the past kind of push back on this whole team concept and have agents allegedly say that they don't like that because they want their clients to work directly with you, right? The name and face of it. How do you
Well, that's something that we all struggle with. It's something that I've struggled with in the very beginning. And what it takes is for you to, at first, you're going to be the one that's talking with all of them. But then as those agents get used to your team and talking to your team, that's part about inviting them in as well, right? Getting them in front of your team to meet these folks so that they know I'm not disengaged with them. And what I tell them up front is, hey, I'm still very much involved in that. I do a pipeline meeting every day, so I know exactly where those are. We've got a funding log, so I can tell them exactly, when their appraisal was ordered, when it's back. I mean, we've got some systems in place. So if they call me, I'm not gee, I have no idea what's going on. I let them know I'm still very much involved, and they're still my client. But we can give them better service. I'm a big picture guy. I'm not a detail guy. So I'm going to tell them that, you know what, a lot of times this person on my team is going to give them a much better experience than I would if I was collecting the conditions, or if I was, doing this. And then I can turn that around too, to try to help those agents build their own team. It's like, why are you doing this by yourself? Let me show you how you can leverage yourselves, because your highest and best use isn't probably, out opening up the lockbox for the inspector to come in. Right. Your highest and best use is prospecting, doing presentations, so it's always fine tuning that business, and you can use that as an opportunity to not just be a lender for them, but maybe help be a business coach with them as well.
Yeah, you said a couple of really great things in there. One, I like the fact that you're introducing the agents to your team, so they're getting comfortable with them, because it's about trust, and they need to feel that they're competent, and that you're not trying to dish off those relationships. So that's
another cool thing on that too is that's like some of my contract to close people. So I've got some agents. So hey, I want that person to be my contract to close person. Great. They might like their personality better. And so another benefit of having a team is you've got multiple people on there that might mesh differently with different types of personalities. So
interesting. So then if you've got, 3 people on the front end for your lead to contract, and then 3 that handle contract to close, what's your primary role today?
My primary role today is again, prospecting. I do a lot of prospecting. That's it, right? What's my highest and best use? Is I like to go out. I like to get with agents and talk to them about business strategy. Try to deepen those relationships. I'm also just looking for new opportunities for us to go after. I still meet with clients. That's still something that I like to do. But I don't care if I ever take another 1003 again in my life. Right? It's just that's not something I enjoy. So I'm trying to do what I do best. So it's lead the team, make it rain. And just continue to prospect and build strategy.
Tell me a little bit about, just real briefly, your daily method of operation. Some people ask the question, kind of, what's your morning routine? You can kind of tie that in. But what I'm curious about is, you seem to be, a well-structured guy in terms of your daily activities that you have to do. So do you do like time blocking or stuff? How do you decide what you're going to do in a given day? How do you build out your week?
Well, again, yes, I do have my calendar blocked, but I'll be honest with you, it's the thing I struggle with the most, because 9 times out of 10, I'll have something blocked and I'll blow right through it doing something different. So I'm continually being coached on that. I'm upping my level of coaching on that stuff, because again, I want to get laser focused on what we do, so I can make more money, work less hours, and have better results, right? Isn't that what our goal is? But we do have structured things that we do, like, we do a team huddle on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and that just kind of sets our day in motion. And we do what I call our 3-1-1. My team comes in, they have to give me the 3 most important things that they have to do that day, their capacity, that gives them focus. They have to give me their capacity on a scale of 1 to 10, so we can load level if we need to. Also lets them know they're not in it alone. And then they have to give me a win or something that they're grateful for, because that tries to keep people in a better, positive mindset.
I want to make sure I follow that. I love that. So the 3-1-1, 3 most important activities for the day, right? For them to get done.
What's the most important things they have to do?
Yeah, give me the 1.
The second is their capacity on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, got it. Now, by the way, so capacity to do all 3.
In other words, hey, I've got because again, inevitably, the business doesn't come in just on a smooth pace every day, right? So one day they might be hammered and just going, man, I got 4 files to disclose, and I've got this many conditions I got to go out, and so many I've got to push to closing. There's no way they're going to get done everything they need to get done in that day. You might have someone else goes, hey, you know what? I've got some capacity. Let me disclose that one for you, or let me take that off your plate, so we can clear that. And so we can load level across the team so that one person's not buried while the other person's twiddling their thumbs.
That's interesting. Do you also then, attempt or try your best, right? It's a never ending journey, this whole time blocking thing. Are you structuring then kind of, I'm envisioning your calendar, like outbound calls? Do you have theme days of like, realtor theme,
Yep.
client theme, that kind of stuff?
Correct.
Yep.
Yes, I do.
Yep. Okay. Do you do anything so this is a question I've been kind of entertaining lately. I hear other, these big podcast gurus and stuff ask like, what's your morning routine? Sometimes it's revealing, sometimes it's average. Come on in.
Well, it's time for our team huddle. So.
Oh, it is? All right. I got to let you go. So do you have a specific morning ritual you like to follow that helps you prepare?
Yeah. You mean like from getting up to coming in, or?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I'm getting back on track with this, but I like getting up at normally 5 o'clock. We're up. My wife goes to the gym. We call her Buff. I'm Puff. It works for us. But I've been then getting on my Peloton. Then I get off of that, do a little exercise, do a little prayer time, awesome. And just kind of focus on the day, meditate on what's coming up. And then again, when I come in, my calendar at work starts, right?
What time are you generally at the office by?
Normally about 8:15.
Okay. All right.
That's kind of later than some people might think, but our hours are 8:15 to 5:15. So.
Yeah. Well, that's actually earlier than a lot of other hours too. So I hear 10 a.m. a lot from people. I'm like, what?
Right. Yeah. They come in at 10, take lunch at 11:30, come back at 2, leave at 4, and wonder why they're not doing any business. Right.
Exactly. All right, man. Listen, I know you got to run, but anything, now we're heading into 2020, a new decade, anything on the horizon for you for prepping for that?
Coming up, I just jumped into a brand new coaching program that I'm really excited about. I've taken us to the next level, hopefully. We just also got the nod to open a satellite office in the biggest real estate office here in town, so I'm excited about that. So we're just continuing to try to look for opportunities to grow.
Yeah, love it, man. And you're approaching it in a very systematic, structured way, and obviously doing some great things with your people and your team. It is Bosses Day, so in the background we can see the Happy Bosses Day balloons. Congratulations to you. You're clearly a good leader and caring about your people and making a difference in their life. So wanted to acknowledge you for that. For anybody who's listening who wants to connect with you, what would be the best place you want to send them?
They can email me if they want, bcase@guildmortgage.net, or they can call me at 541-890-TIME, TIME.
Whoa, that's cool.
Time to call Brian.
Love it. And I'll put links to your Facebook page and LinkedIn in there as well.
Perfect.
All right, listen, Brian, I know you got to jump. You got your team huddle going on, so I appreciate you making the time and being here. And listeners, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. If you like this episode or any of the others, hey, help us out, do us a favor, and leave us a little review on the socials. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.